I've had a lot of experiences, like strangers I just met the airport. Whenever we get a quick conversation, people would always tell me, I know I've met you just today, but I felt like we met each
Knowing
other
each
for
other.
a long time.
Yeah.
And I would always say that science wouldn't be able to explain this, but we're all connected. And I feel like, I don't know, like I really feel like everyone we're all feeling the same thing, or we're all experiencing the same thing. We just have different characters, different circumstances in our lives. We basically have like similar
Yep.
experiences that allows us to feel the same things. And I think that helps me connect with someone more, because I always see that person as someone who is also going through something, maybe happy or sad or whatever. Like this person is totally not sharing everything to the world. So she or he has a lot of things she's keeping to herself. So whatever that is, I allow him or her to keep that. I'll be very happy if I can be that space where he or she can also share that, because it's nice to be able to express something you don't normally share to everyone. It's nice
Yeah.
to have that one person or a community or a support group where you can be just you and you can feel however you want to feel and not be judged and not be invalidated. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm connected to everyone. I have that feeling
Yeah. I
that
think
we're all connected.
I agree.
Yeah.
Really something that's become more and more apparent to me over time, just observing the human experience. And we're always alone in a way because we never actually meld experiences with anyone. So you can't totally know what it's like to be me, and I can't totally know what it's like to be you. But yet at the same time, I think the human experience is, yes, we have different situations, we have different events happening to us, whatever. But overall, I think it really does serve us to be reminded that the human experience is roughly the same for all of us. We're all going through the same set of emotions and ups and downs, and it feels roughly the same from what I can tell. And I think
Yeah.
on a more cosmic or spiritual level, I really do also agree with you that I think we're not separate. I think that separateness is an illusion. Emerge Stories is a place where, as the name implies, you are going to hear stories. Stories from people all over the Philippines who have come from many different types of backgrounds, and especially people who have gone through struggles, people who have gone through the challenging parts of life. And I hope that these stories will relate for you in some way, that some of these stories will really land for you because these people have gone through probably just about the same thing you might be going through right now. Welcome again to Emerge Stories. Today we will be speaking with Armie Garde. She is originally from Leyte, but lives in Cebu. She's really a multi-passionate person. She used to be a journalist with Sunstar, and now she's a licensed financial advisor and a life coach who loves to help other people get onto a path of physical wellness and personal growth and to discover their purpose and passion in life. In this conversation, I think you're going to really love the things we talked about. Armie and I talked about some things, including being honest and compassionate with ourselves when we're not happy with ourselves or our lives, how we can keep reminding ourselves of our North Star, dealing with self-criticism versus love, and how to surround ourselves with people who support our growth, which is something we're really trying to do here at Emerge PH, is to create a community where you can connect with other people who are on a personal development journey. Thank you so much for being here. If this inspires you, if you think Armie's story can be useful for someone, please take a moment to share it with somebody. Also, please join our Facebook group and you can there also join our community. Thank you so much for being here, and let's jump into the conversation with Armie. Armie, welcome to Emerge Stories. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here, Eli.
I'm looking forward to the conversation, and you've been also helping Emerge PH grow and helping us develop what we are. So thank you for being part of the team. And yeah, I'm just excited to hear your growth story. So why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about the things that you're proud of when you think of who you are, what you're doing in the world, maybe what you've done in the world, like who you've become. What are some of the things that you would, if you were being introduced on stage to do a keynote speech or something, what would someone say about you?
I think I would go with I'm a very multi-passionate person, Eli, and it took me a while to actually embrace that. It actually, other people have made me realize that. And eventually I also realized that, yeah, my multi-passion brought me into different directions in life. And what's amazing and what I'm really proud about it is that everything that I put my heart into, I always get also that opportunity to help other people. So I think one of the things that I'm really proud of, especially these days, is I'm able to do the things I do, not only to help myself and my loved ones, but also to help other people, especially in rediscovering their wellness dimensions, in helping them also rediscover their passion and purpose in life. Because I really believe that on the past, we already have those things. We know what our passions are. We just don't have really the time or the focus to really think about them. So in everything that I do now, in wherever industries I'm being brought, I'm really happy and I'm proud to say that I'm also able to help people I'm working with in their personal development journey.
Nice. So I obviously want to focus in on the personal development journey and how you got onto that for yourself. But before we do that, like for some specificity so people can have a picture in their mind. I hate questions like, what do you do? Tell the audience, what do you do? Some of the things that you do now or that you've done in the past that they should know about.
Yeah, so at this point in my life, I'm helping people in crafting their financial plan, helping them prepare for the best and the worst in the future. So I'm a licensed financial advisor here in the Philippines, and I help young people, moms, and even business owners prepare for the best and the worst in life. And in relation to that, because I'm also a runner, running is one of the things that I have been doing for a long time. I've been running for 14 years now. My gosh,
Well,
I've been running for 14 years now, and I do encourage most of my clients to run and pay attention to their physical wellness. Because, of course, as a financial planner, one of the things that I really love my clients to experience is to get the benefits of what they're preparing for the good things. There are things that we can prepare for, but of course, there are a lot of things that we can prevent.
okay.
Like if we focus on our physical wellness, we can take care of ourselves so we become physically healthy. So be able to reap the fruits of whatever we're working hard for now. And I
What are
just
some of the things that you've done in the past that you know?
yeah, actually started as a journalist. Our mentors call ourselves the digital natives because when we joined the media, it was also during that time when online journalism was booming. And here
Mhm.
in Cebu, I started as an online editor for a newspaper. We were actually handling the online website of that newspaper here in Cebu. So our main task was mostly like breaking news. So we go out to create special reports. Mine was really more on environment related reports. The multimedia reports that I did before was mostly related to environment because that's one of my advocacies back in university. And after joining the media industry for more than 8 years, I ventured into a different industry. I got actually my former boss also introduced me to the hospitality industry. It's a five-star property here in Cebu.
Okay.
I've worked with them for more than 3 years as a social media manager. So
Nice.
that was actually the time when I got myself introduced into marketing because my background is really more on communication, special reports, and but it wasn't really easy like the transition from being a hardcore journalist, like hard news, to marketing and public relations because we were also doing social media already when we were in Sunstar because we were the digital natives. So we were the guinea pigs in
Mhm.
using
Okay.
Instagram, Facebook. That time there was still no live, like Facebook Live, and there was no Zoom at that time. But we were the ones who tried other apps that would help us make the news live.
Okay.
We were the guinea pigs. We tried, okay, what apps can we do so they can work together and we can make this news live? But now everything is easier. You just need to attach one app to the other and well, we can already do lives. So it wasn't really easy the transition from being a journalist to a social media manager because I already have an idea about the tools. The things that I had to learn that time was the industry because it was a totally different industry. But it was really fun because I had great mentors and I had a lot of mentors that time. And I'm also the type of person, Eli, who really loves to learn. I think that's one of the reason why it's challenging transitioning from an industry to a different industry. It's definitely challenging because there's so many things that you need to unlearn, so many things that you need to learn. But I really that passion for learning and I really appreciate it when people give me feedback because for me, feedback is really helpful if you want to improve yourself, if you want to grow as a person.
Let's go back to your childhood, right? What was your childhood?
In the province, I grew up in a military family. So I very masculine energy actually in the family. When I was young, I really wanted to become part of the Philippine Military Academy. That was one of my dreams. I want to serve the country and be a soldier because everybody in the family was like, okay. But yeah, it was in the province in Leyte. And I grew up with mostly with my grandparents. My both of my parents were really working full time. So I never really got the chance to spend a lot of time with them. I'm mostly with my grandparents and it was really fun. Yeah.
What would you say were some of the struggles that I want to hear the story of how did you get on a path of taking ownership of your own personal development? How old were you when you started to do that?
I don't exactly remember how old I was, but I remember like when I was young because I'm surrounded with people who are always like they have their own lives. I can see that like for example in the family, even if I grew up in a family in a military family, other relatives would expect us to also follow the path. But in our family, like my father, for example, like he won't decide for us. At an early age, my father has already been telling us that you just need to do what you really want to do in life, not because this is how our family wants you to do.
Yeah.
So at an early age, I realized that, okay, I can actually carve my own path. I think it's because of that when my father gave me that go signal that you don't need to be pressured, like you have to become a soldier because everybody in the family is a soldier. If there's something else that you want to pursue, then pursue it. And I don't have anyone in the family has followed that path. So I have to find and create that path myself.
The path
And
that you followed,
yeah,
right? So this
so
is fresh or new for you or that you created.
yes, yeah. So I had to learn it from books. I had to learn it from the media that I was consuming. That was the time when I watched a lot of news already. I already have like people, okay, I want to be like her. I want to be like her. I want to do things that she does. But
So
it wasn't easy. Yeah.
your first job was with Sunstar or
Yes. My
okay.
first job, I was a journalist. That was
And
my first.
the course that you took in school, did you take a course so that you could become a journalist?
Yes. The course that I took was mass communication. And at that time, that in the course that was so in was information technology, like IT or computer science. So in our batch, everyone was like, okay, we'll go IT. And also in the province, we have schools that are known to produce the teachers. So like half of the batch took up education, half of the batch took up
IT.
IT, and there was Army who took up mass communication. So nobody heard about it. In the province, it's not a popular course. But and that's the reason why I got to Cebu. Because the school, it's University of the Philippines in Tacloban, doesn't offer mass communication. And I also passed the exam here in Cebu. So that's why I was brought here
So it was
because of the
UP.
yes, I took up my mass communication course in UP.
Okay. You mentioned a little bit about, you said something about teaching yourself about the industry. What was in the college course, mass communication, what was your experience like when it comes to how well that prepared you for the actual getting a job versus the things that you had to teach yourself?
Mm. Actually, one thing that I'm really grateful for in my education is that we had an environment where we're really very supported in a way that our mentors were also practitioners. Aside from them teaching us the theory, they also actually opened an opportunity for us to also practice the things. So when I was still in first year, I was taking up my first journalism class. I was already writing also for Sunstar. It was Draw by Lance actually. I didn't wanted to my choice back then. I really loved reading CDN. So I was hoping like I know I can write also for CDN. But it was Draw by Lance and I got Sunstar. But I was also happy because my teacher back then was an editor in Sunstars. So even if I was still first year and I was still learning about the theory, I was already exposed to how it is really in the real world. So that was when I started going out and interviewing people because my main task then was personality sketch. So they gave me assignments. They asked me to interview certain personalities here in Cebu about the things that they do, their passion and stuff. So that's really the main thing. And I
Yeah.
think that was for me, one of the things that really prepared me for my first job. Because it was also the time when I get to receive, we call it like our bloody papers. Because before we get it published, of course, it goes through our teacher, who also happens to be our editor.
Yeah.
But so when she
Yeah.
checks my paper, I still have those, Eli. I actually have a book bind of my drafts, my first drafts. So it's a bloody draft. So it's where we see, okay, where the grammatical errors and
Okay.
all these things.
Let's shift gears a little bit. I want to go back to where you were talking about your dad did not set expectations for you, did not obligate you to follow a certain path.
Mm.
From what you've seen, you've been in journalism, you have a lot of friends, you've interviewed people, this culture. There's a lot of people in the Philippines that did not have that luxury, right? They grew up in a family that kind of has this path laid out for them, that a lot of obligation.
Mhm.
What would you say to somebody? Because it sounds like you're grateful and appreciative of that freedom to choose your own path and realization that you could carve your own future. What would you say to somebody who maybe doesn't feel that freedom? Maybe they feel some obligation. Do you have any thoughts that you would share with them?
I think because once upon a time, there was also a time when I felt that what ifs, I have a lot of what ifs. I think one thing maybe is to open up and show up, open up and share. Because I'm sure there's at least one person in your family who will listen to you. So start with that one person. Tell that one person what you really love to do, what are your dreams. Because I think when we're young, that's a time when we have a lot of dreams actually. So many things that we wanted to do. Find that one person in your circle, in your family, whom you can trust this with and take it from there. Just don't keep it to yourself. Just share it, write about it, or talk about it.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Before, I was not very verbal about the things that I want in life. So
Yeah.
whenever I want to communicate something, I write it and then I post it in the refrigerator. That's how I communicate because I felt like maybe if I talk to the person, maybe I would be able to express it articulately because I'm really not articulate when I was young. It's still something that I'm working on. I'm a work
Yeah.
in progress in that area, but
I
I
think
tried. Yeah.
I think that's a great piece of advice. A lot of times we project onto other people that where we create these ideas in our minds. We tell ourselves we can't because we think other people have certain opinions
Mm-hmm.
and we actually don't really know for sure. We're
Mm-hmm.
not testing it. So we're not having
Yes.
conversations. And then you avoid the conversation because you assume
Yes.
that other people don't support you or they're against what you want. But how do you know when you didn't talk about it? And also, I would say talk about it over and over again, talk about it for years, talk about it with many people. And then eventually people are like, oh, no, she's really serious. This is what she really wants. But let's transition to choosing what you actually want because a lot of times when we're young, we have these dreams, whether we pursue them or not, or maybe somebody does. You pursued journalism, you went into that industry for 8 years, but you're not practicing there anymore.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about how you see what you learned there, and how do you, when you look back, do you have any regrets about choosing that path that was your dream? What do you think about it?
There's no regret at all, Eli, because I believe that whatever jobs we end up doing or whatever work we end up doing, these are all stepping stones. These are all opportunities for us to learn and grow. So I'm no longer a practicing journalist, but I'm still writing. I'm still storytelling, and I'm still supporting any endeavors of my past employer in relation to sharing stories about people. So I'm still doing that now, although I'm no longer like a practicing journalist. I think the reason why I would say I'm not regretting anything because I fulfilled that childhood dream. I knew it was really something that I wanted to do because I really loved telling stories when I was a child. I really loved writing. My mother during Typhoon Yolanda, if you remember, one thing that she texted me when she was able to communicate with me after a few days, she said, "Die in English." I just translated in English. She says, "I saved all your writings."
Nice.
So when she went to the house, that's one of the things that she looked for among my stuff. Because my mother knows how much I love writing, even if those were like, there were a lot of wrong grammars in those write ups. She knows how much I love writing. And I really love telling stories. Like, I love listening to stories. That's why I'm still engaged with endeavors that allow me to listen to other people's stories because that's also how I learn. Every time I listen to someone, every time I talk to someone, I always get something valuable. I always get something that resonates with me a lot. And most of the times it reminds me of how beautiful it is to continue learning, not only through our own like personal endeavors, learning endeavors, but also from the journeys of other people, from the
Yeah.
stories of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for anybody out there listening when it comes to how to get better at learning from the people around us? For
Mm-hmm.
example, like listening or questions or just like anything that you've learned that you could
Mm-hmm.
share with other people so that they could maybe get better at getting those stories from the people around them?
Mm-hmm. So I believe there's no one size fits all, but what worked for me may work for people. What I do usually is I always set myself whenever I meet someone, I release myself from all the judgments there would be because we have this tendency to stay, especially if we don't know so much about the person. There's so many things go into our head. So don't allow those things to really get into you and just allow this opportunity to get to know more about the person because I think we don't judge the person so much when we already know so much about the person. So the less we know someone, the more we judge them. But the
Right.
more we know about them, the more we understand that just like you, just like anybody else, he or she is someone we can also learn from. So that's
Beautiful.
what I do. So I don't set myself no judgments at all. When I meet someone, I always, okay, what is it that I'm going to be learning from this person? And then I ask questions and I listen and then I allow the person to really, and I've already had this before. Like I only asked one question and then the person was just, okay, tell me everything. And I'm okay with that. Like I would allow the person until the person finishes. And then that's the time when I also share, okay, that resonated with me a lot. So I also give feedback. And when I also give feedback,
I want to talk about feedback in a second. That's something you mentioned earlier. It's quite rare for someone to be genuinely desirous of feedback. And I want to go to that in a minute because I've noticed it's really true with you. Just going back to the advice you gave on how to be more curious and learn
mm,
more from the stories of other people. I just have to say, I love what you said because prejudging or making assumptions about what is true about someone else something that I didn't realize I was doing. I didn't even know that it was an automatic background habit. And it took quite a while to be more aware of it and then let go of it and stop doing it. And then of course, we
Mm.
still sometimes do it without knowing it. But yeah, raising awareness of, and so this is a metaphor that I like to use that I think fits in. Tell me what you think. Very similar approach. I like to think of people as a blank canvas. Am I allowing my brain to automatically fill in the blanks with something I didn't ask? Because
Mhm.
that's not good, because you're not going to get curious about that. You're not going to ask a question about something if you've already let your brain fill in the blanks. And another realization for me, if you've ever listened to radio DJs, you're driving in the car in a taxi and you're hearing a DJ and you've heard that voice many times, and then you see them on a billboard or you see them on TV, you're like, wait,
Mhm.
that's not how they look. Why? Because your brain created a picture of the person without
Yes.
you even knowing it, right?
Yes.
And like you just were
Yes.
sure that's what they looked like. And what? So yeah, so being aware that our brains are filling in the blanks and disallowing that, letting
Mhm.
go is awesome. And I also, what I love to do is think of somebody as a jigsaw puzzle, or yeah, like this really high resolution picture that's cut into jigsaw puzzles. It's like, where am I sure that I know because I've asked? And then where's the
Mhm.
next blank piece that I am curious about? And then that's how I find the questions I want to ask. Because, okay, I know that they live here and they grew up here and they have this many, whatever it is, but what's right next to that that I don't know? And I think, what do you think about that method for
Yeah.
thinking of what to ask next?
Yeah. I actually, speaking of jigsaw puzzle, I also like, I don't believe that certain things has to happen in a particular order, or in a, like, it should be a circle right away. Like, it's okay if it's not a circle or a square or a triangle right away. It's okay if it has a grid disc shape, for as long as you actually given yourself an opportunity to learn about someone. And then, yeah, and then later on you'll say, okay, that's why he has this approach toward things, because back in, yeah, I also do that.
Use
Yeah.
that
That's
metaphor.
why,
Nice.
yeah, I also do that. That's why I always, because it's normal, especially when we hear stories about people from other people, it also creates a picture in our
Yeah.
brain. And it's
Yeah.
also, yeah, it we already have an idea about the person from another people. But I do respect other people's experience with someone, but I always tell myself that their experience may not be your experience. So just allow this person to also be herself or himself with you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it works like, in my case, for example, I am introvert among people I'm not very comfortable with, but I am very extrovert and very open with people I know I can be safe with, like I can open up with.
Right.
So I think let's give each other a chance to get to know each other more and have that sense of, okay, I can trust this person, I can be safe with this person. And I always also give that chance to others, because I can't expect everyone or someone I just met for the first time, for example, to trust me easily. Like me, he also or she also doesn't know anything about me yet. So that's why I ask questions. That's why I want to get to know more someone. And I also want the person to ask me questions. And I'm also happy sharing about things, because if it will help us have a comfortable and safe and how do you call it, supportive relationship, then I would
Yeah.
I would prefer that. Yeah.
I've noticed in conversations with you that you also know how to be vulnerable. And that's something that creates a lot of trust really quickly. So if you're vulnerable with other people, you trust them with that sensitive, vulnerable thing that you're feeling or something you're
Mm.
experiencing. And then I think it also subconsciously helps people quickly. Have you ever had people say, wow, have you ever been surprised at how quickly somebody trusted you with something really emotional or
To be honest, it doesn't surprise me, but I've had a lot of experiences, like strangers I just met at the airport. Whenever we get a quick conversation, people would always tell me, I know I've met you just today, but I felt like we met each
knowing
other
each
for
other?
a long time.
Yeah.
We've known
Yeah.
each other for a long time. And I would always say that science wouldn't be able to explain this, but we're all connected. And I feel like, I don't know, like I really feel like everyone we're all feeling the same thing, or we're all experiencing the same thing. We just have different characters, different circumstances in our lives. We basically have like similar
Yep.
experiences that allows us to feel the same things. And I think that helps me connect with someone more because I always see that person as someone who is also going through something, maybe happy or sad or whatever. Like this person is totally not sharing everything to the world. So she or he has a lot of things she's keeping to herself. So whatever that is, I allow him or her to keep that. I'll be very happy if I can be that space where he or she can also share that because it's nice to be able to express something you don't normally share to everyone. It's nice
Yeah.
to have that one person or a community or a support group where you can be just you and you can feel however you want to feel and not be judged and not be invalidated. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm connected to everyone. I have that feeling
Yeah. I
like
think
we're all connected.
I agree.
Yeah.
Really something that's become more and more apparent to me over time, just observing the human experience. And we're always alone in a way because we never actually meld experiences with anyone. So you can't totally know what it's like to be me, and I can't totally know what it's like to be you. But yet at the same time, I think the human experience is, yes, we have different situations, we have different events happening to us, whatever. But overall, I think it really does serve us to be reminded that the human experience is roughly the same for all of us. We're all going through the same set of emotions and ups and downs, and it feels roughly the same from what I can tell. And I think
Yeah.
on a more cosmic or spiritual level, I really do also agree with you that I think we're not separate. I think that separateness is an illusion. Yeah. But it does, whatever people think about the reality of the universe, I think it serves us to see ourselves as not separate.
Yeah,
And
and that
and
makes us more compassionate also to everyone.
exactly. Yeah. Because if you see people as others, that's where pretty much all human problems come from. Is the other people as, oh, they're different. They're not us, something like that. But let's go to the feedback conversation. So you said that you give feedback and that you really like receiving feedback. Has it always been that way for you?
No,
So
it
how did
wasn't.
yeah,
Yeah,
tell us about
because
that journey.
actually, I remember growing up, I've only been receiving like genuine feedbacks from my family. When I went out in the real world, I realized that not everyone is as willing to give you genuine feedback. Like most of them sometimes would just give you something that are not helpful, not constructive at all. So I told myself that if there is, if there are less people who can give that, can I be just an additional of whoever are out there who can give genuine feedback?
Yeah.
Because I've also experienced it myself. Like I wanted to, most of the time, especially when I was still a rookie, when I was, you can't help it. You'll be able to work with people who for some reasons won't be as supportive
Hmm.
as you would hope them to be. So they won't give you the right feedback. They won't give you the constructive feedback. Most of the time they will just scream at you for something that they could have just said in a very diplomatic manner. But I felt like there are a lot of ways to teach someone and to if someone is because I had my mistakes, I admitted it. So I always get that kind of feedback. It helped me in a way that I told myself that I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be that kind of person who sugarcoats things. Because how can someone grow? What if there are people out there like me who genuinely wants to learn and
Right.
genuinely wants to know, okay, where was my mistake? Okay, how can I not do this mistake again? But if you don't tell me how, but instead scream at me, how would I learn? So that's why I told myself that if there are only a few people out there who gives genuine feedback, I'll add myself. I'll be an additional to those few
Yeah.
people. So that's why I'm really particular about giving feedback, especially when people ask me feedback. I do try my best to, even if sometimes, okay, I have this thought, will this hurt the person? Will this make the person bad? If the answer is yes, then all the more I should tell the person because
I am so much in agreement with you on this, but it's like one of the hardest commitments you can ever make in your life, but I think it's totally worth it. And I find it so frustrating many times in life where I found out far too late in all the wrong ways that people either had an opinion that was negative and didn't say it, and then formed a story that wasn't accurate. And just things end up going so far off path. But also, just like you said, you don't get to learn and grow if you don't get data. And it's such a complicated thing about us humans, though, where most people, when they hear feedback, the first thing you feel is fear. Like you feel this dread, this explosion of negative energy. Oh my God. It just feels like panic, like you're going to die because why? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But we most of the time feel like it's a threat, like something is about to go really wrong. So I have a bunch of other questions about this topic that I want to, but just briefly, did you previously get that feeling when somebody would give you, even if it was constructively presented, you used to get that feeling where when you first heard it, you'd freak out for a second emotionally?
yeah, when I was younger, yes,
Okay.
when I
But
was
not now.
younger, no, yeah,
But that's a magic thing. I think very few people get to that place to where they can actually desire feedback and almost never have that explosive emotional reaction when you hear something negative about about yourself or about what you did or how you are at something.
mhm.
So I think it's an amazing thing to get to that place. I also think it's critical to be honest with other people, to make that commitment. I'm going to get good at being honest to give people data. How have you, what are some of the things you've done? I guess let's go back. First question. What were some of the memories you had of first realizing that you weren't getting honesty? Okay. Cause I know you said sugarcoating and you also said people yelling at you. These are opposite ends of terrible ways of giving feedback. Either you don't get the feedback or you get it in a terrible, useless way. But do you remember how you started realizing that you desperately wanted more data? You wanted more truth?
I'm trying to remember a situation, but I think one dominant memory is when I won't mention names or
It's fine.
yeah. So
Protect the guilty or the innocent or whatever. It's fine. Go ahead.
yeah, but I wanted to be part of it's an international yeah. I'll just skip the details, but okay, I'll just be more yeah. I wanted to join an organization and I had the support of some people, but there's this one person I wanted to have that same support, but that person had to do otherwise. And to to cap it off, she told me that I don't deserve to be part of that organization. And she told me that I still need to learn a lot of things. So when I asked her, what do I need to learn and how do I learn it? Because I really wanted to be part of that group. And then she couldn't tell me. And then instead of telling me exactly why she said I'm still not good enough, she did not tell me, okay, what are the things that I should work on exactly so I can be good enough, at least to
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
Because to her I wasn't good enough, but to the higher like the other people I asked for support, they were very supportive and they were really rooting for me. And I was wondering why, how come other people would support me and how come she would say. So I was very curious, okay, what areas should I? She did not tell me. She was just avoiding it.
Very
So
frustrating, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, you're telling me I'm not good enough, but you're not helping me become better. How can that be? So I told myself it's something that I was lacking in the outside world. But in the family, I had a lot of roles. I'm very supportive. My parents are really giving me genuine feedback. Like we are a feedback family.
That's
Always
amazing.
get feedback from each other, no matter how seemingly unnecessary they are. But in the outside world where
That's
learning and growth is, how come I don't get the same? So that's what I lack. So that's what I said I would feel for those who are like
yeah.
me,
Yeah.
struggling to get
But
feedback.
I think there's a ton of people that also grew up in families where I think that's not the norm to be in a family where you're actually getting some useful data from the perspective of other people. And that reality, just that we can't see everything. There's so many things about ourselves, or it's not just about learning from other people. It's also just the perspective that they have that on us that we don't have. We can't see ourselves the same way other people do. So it's really critical to get that. And congratulations to you for, you know, being so committed to wanting the feedback that you got to the place where it doesn't sting so much anymore and that you can just absorb it. Or I'm sure you've probably also learned how to filter it, because like we have to decide which people's opinions matter. And sometimes people give you feedback and it's, yeah, I think, but I'm not sure that's that useful. I'm not going to prioritize that one. So,
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that you will also learn along the way.
yeah,
Because at some point in your life, especially when you're hungry for it, you look for it in so many places. And then at one point, I realized, okay, I don't need to ask for feedback from everyone. I just need to actually ask feedback from people who genuinely care about me also. Like, I can't expect everyone to care about my growth. I can't expect everyone to care about what I care about. So I found people, a community, a group, my family, who even me without asking, they would really give me those feedback that are really helpful so I could improve myself. So I realized, okay, maybe I should be more open and
yeah,
remind myself that you don't need feedback from everyone. You just
yeah,
need feedback from the people who genuinely care
yeah,
about what you care about.
yeah. And I would say they need to care about you, and they also need to just have some credibility. It's like they need to be someone with reasonable. Sometimes people have opinions, but they don't actually have experience, and therefore maybe their opinion is not as valuable as somebody who I would look at and say, wow, this person really knows about this thing. I'm gonna prioritize them. So proactively surrounding yourself with people who will give you constructive feedback from a place of love, right?
Yes. From a place of Yeah, from a place of love. That's it, from a place of love. Because if they really love you, if people love us, no matter how painful it's gonna be for them to tell you the truth, they will tell you the truth because they know that it's gonna be good for you.
Yeah. All right. With the remaining time that we have, I'd like to zero in on your the habits you've built, or you are someone who talks about personal development quite a bit. And it seems to me that you're intentional about that you've consciously put yourself on a journey to make yourself better. You always want to learn. This is something that's core about you. And if everybody would prioritize those things, we would all be a lot happier, I think. But what have you done? What are some of the things that you've done to craft yourself?
I started with being honest with myself. It's one of the hardest things to be brutally honest with. Number one, where you are in your life right now. Because we go through different stages in life, Eli, and every stage of our life, we always find ourselves unhappy at some point. So when we are unhappy, like for my case, whenever I'm put in a situation where I feel like I'm not in my element anymore, why? Where am I really in my life right now? And wait, where do I want to go again? And if I find myself in a place where, oh my God, this is not where I'm supposed to be because this won't take me to where I want to go, then I would remind myself, okay, like example, I want to improve my personal record in running. So I said I would run this, blah, blah, every weekend. And then at some point I stopped running. And then I told myself, it makes me unhappy. Like I wasn't able to run last weekend and then another weekend and then another weekend. So I told myself, Army, let's be very honest. So why we're not able to run? And then I told myself, okay, how about if we do it like 1 kilometer instead of 10? Because maybe 10 is no longer ideal with with your time and with your priorities right now. So maybe let's start with one. I started running like 1 kilometer a day. And then I told myself, oh my gosh, I was able to run every day. So I said, okay, we can run like those days that we missed, we can run on a weekend. Let's not be hard on ourselves in being honest. Let's really ask ourselves where we are in our life right now and where we want to go. Where we want to go is really important because it's like a North Star. Like at some point, you will get lost. You will be presented with opportunities that would take you to a different path. And then if you keep on reminding yourself, like, this is where I want to go. So
Where do you want to go? What's that North Star for you?
at this point in my life, Eli, where I want to go is actually I'm on that path already because when I was younger, where I want to go is I want to reach that point in my life where I would be able to do things in my own terms and not do things because other people want me to do them. It took me a while to journey into this point where whenever I am presented with an opportunity that other people want me to do, but
Yeah.
I personally it doesn't align with my energy, doesn't align with my current goals. I already have the courage to say no and let go. But of course, gracefully and politely because for as long as I think that's why communication is really very important for me. Speaking up and sharing is really important to me, no matter what kind of feedback you get after sharing.
Yeah.
For as long as you said your truth, because that's the only way to be honest with yourself and be honest with other people.
It's an
That's
amazing it's an amazing feeling to build your life to the point where everything is autonomous and or voluntary. Like there's when I got myself, it took a lot of work, but getting to the place where I can't find anything in my life that's not an agreement I made voluntarily that I'm still aligned with. It's like everything is my choice. I don't think any of us automatically have that. We have to build it over time. That's a
yeah.
really
And we become more accountable to ourselves also.
totally.
Because yeah, we can't anymore. But I'm not also that kind of person who blames whatever situation I'm in with other people. But of course, there were times when I want. But at this point in my life, I could no longer say it's my parents' fault,
Yeah.
it's my colleagues' fault. No, because everything now is really like, okay, this is my decision. I made this decision because this is what I really wanted to.
Right.
And I that's my North Star. And I want to be able to also at this point in my life maximize all the opportunities and the gifts that I have so I can also share with other people because I really believe that we can be accountable to our own growth. If I am able to do it, I'm sure everyone can. If we just become more intentional about it, it starts with honesty really. You just really have to be very brutally honest with yourself. And
Just
yeah.
quick answer on this one, but like how often do you stop and reflect or do you have a cadence? Do you like to, travel somewhere? Do you need a whole day? Like how do you make sure that you don't just keep going through life really busy without reflecting? What's your method of taking stock so that you can be honest with yourself?
I journal a lot.
Okay.
As I write, so I use writing as a channel for me to reflect and talk to me, talk to
Sweet.
the core of my soul. So that's how I communicate with myself. That's how I
Beautiful.
communicate with my higher self through writing. And
Nice.
then I run and I dance. I move I really move my body because moving, like physically moving your body, is also doing a lot of magic into our mind, our heart, and our soul. So I always make sure I get to
Nice. Great.
writing and moving.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the conversation so far. And just as we wrap up, I have a couple things I want to ask. If you were speaking to somebody who wants to take more ownership of their personal growth and like their own journey of crafting their future self, is there a resource? Like it could be a YouTube channel, a book, an influencer, like something that's helped you emerge as the better version of yourself that you are now?
One book that come to mind, Women Who Run with Wolves.
Women Who
That
Run with
one,
Wolves. Nice.
Yeah, women who run with the wolves, because it will you will learn so much, especially women learn so much, and even men learn so much from that book on how to take ownership of your own like feminine and masculine energy as well,
Hmm.
and how to discover really your core, and yeah, and allow yourself to be vulnerable with all the human experiences that we get the opportunity to experience while we're here.
Love it. Thank you. And last question. What's something that you're still maybe struggling with or something that you're working on, something you want to improve about yourself going forward?
To be honest, there are a lot of things. But
Just pick
one
one.
thing, yeah, one thing that I'm still in a journey with is making sure that I don't get criticize myself a lot. That's one of the things that I'm still working on. I have this high, I do criticize myself a lot. So that's one thing that I'm still working on. And I'm happy that I'm surrounded with people who also help me become more kind and more gentle with myself.
That was something I really struggled with. I realized that in order to grow faster, I had to get better at, yes, being brutally honest, evaluating myself, deciding what do I want to improve, but then also it just doesn't serve us to be self-critical and beating ourselves up, and you feel bad and it actually makes you stuck, right? It doesn't make you
Yeah.
motivated to get better. It makes you feel just bad. And so it's a funny dynamic. It's like a dichotomy. It's I want to be honest about who I want to become next and where I'm weak, but at the same time, yeah, love yourself. Like at the same time, you can't just sit there and beat yourself up all the time and expect to want to grow. I got to ask this because you've mentioned it a few times and I'm still curious. And I know we're running out of time here, but what have you done to surround yourself? Because you've mentioned several times that you've surrounded yourself with people who are supportive or who give you honest feedback. What would you tell someone out there who has none of that in their lives? Like, how do you go out and surround yourself with those people? How'd you do it?
When you already know what you're really looking for, then look for there are already a lot of activities, events, organizations that you can search from. And not be afraid to show up. There's no like you don't need to commit right away. Just explore. Don't be afraid to explore in joining accountability groups, wellness events. There's so many things happening in your community, I'm sure. So go out there, and in those events, you will be a base, you will discover, you will meet your tribe, you will
Love it.
know who they are. Yeah, you will know who they are. So when you find them, try to yeah, connect with them. Reconnect with them because we're all already connected. It's just that we just need to reconnect with our tribe and yeah,
Wonderful advice.
explore.
I totally agree. Get specific about who you're looking for because
Mm,
you can't find what you haven't described. And then
yes.
there's little communities all over the place. And I tell you what, as we close this, why don't you invite people, tell people what your vision for the future of the community that we're trying to build with Emerge PH.
Yeah. So for those people who will be watching this, we have Skill You Community. It's one of the many that we're hoping to create to be able to support everyone in our personal growth or personal development journey. So if you are available, you can join us online and in person. And we're also hoping to not only do it in certain communities like now, Dumaguete and Cebu. My vision is to be able to do this around the Philippines and around the world. We don't know. There are a lot of Filipinos now who are also very aggressive, I would say, and very no, intentional. We're all intentional with our personal growth and try to join one of our CLU event online and in person and let us know if it's something that you also want to do in your own community and we'll be very happy to support you. Imagine the things that we like multiply ourselves and multiply and
Love
be
it.
able to reach more people.
Agree. Thank you for that. And I would love to see the community grow and people can join the Facebook group, keep following our content, go watch another YouTube video here and keep hearing the stories of people, because these people that we're interviewing are also part of the community. So if you want to know Armie, then you can join our Facebook group and get connected and be part of the community and find your tribe. Armie,
Yeah,
thank you.
and
Yeah, go ahead.
And
Sorry.
Eli, I'd also, sorry, I'd like to opportunity to encourage people to also show up and share their stories. So Emerge is a platform for everyone. So we'll be very happy to listen to everyone's story, growth stories here. So we'll be very happy if more and more people will get to watch our stories. And yeah, more and more people will be also open to share their stories through Emerge.
I agree. Thank you. Thanks for being here today and sharing your story. And thanks for what you're doing to support growing what we're trying to build. Thank you,
Thank
Armie.
you so much, Eli, for the time and for the opportunity. Thank you
Same.
so much, Emerge PH.
Thank you so much for listening to this interview on Emerge Stories. We really hope that something here sparked your curiosity or maybe helped you think about something in your life just from a little bit of a different angle or perspective, maybe opened up your mind to something you might be able to do in your life to take more ownership of your own learning and growth. That's the goal of this show. So please join our community, like and share, and tell other people about these stories if they're meaningful for you. And thanks so much for being here.